Men are four times more likely to die by suicide, yet 40% of men have never spoken to anyone about their mental well-being. Today's guest believes that silence is killing us, and he's on a mission to change the conversation. From emotional skills to men's groups, he's helping men build resilience, connection, and purpose in a world that often tells them to keep it all inside. We can all relate with that, all the men listening out there. Stefanos Koutsoumpis is a men's life coach based in Athens, Greece, a beautiful part of the world, dedicated to helping men in their 30s and beyond who feel stuck, disconnected, or unfulfilled despite outward success through one-on-one coaching and his monthly men's groups. Stefanos provides a tribe of connection, accountability, and growth with a background in mindfulness and a passion for men's health. He's grounded, relatable, style empowers men to move from stress and self-doubt towards clarity and authentic fulfillment. Stefanos, great to have you on the show. Welcome to Attention is the Currency.
Great to be with you, Daniel. Thank
Very,
you for having me.
very welcome, and we're so excited to have you tuning in from Greece, and we love to because we find the best. The experts are from anywhere in the world. We track them down. So we'll get stuck into the chat. So let's start with your own story. What brought you to focus on men's mental health?
I was reading yesterday some statistics about men's mental health preparing for a presentation. Like you said, we're four times more probable to die by suicide, and one out of three men have suicidal thoughts at some point in their lives. And I remember that this was me at some point of my life, many years, uh, having suicidal thoughts, which is actually a sign of depression. I know that I was depressed at some point and I didn't ask for help. I just waited it out. And over the years, as I learned to take care of myself, I realized that, you know, men are totally underrepresented in their mental health. There are not enough discussions. There's a lot of stigma around that. And, there's this phrase, man up, take it like a man.
Yes.
And it's not like that because it takes us to really dark paths. So this is why I'm focusing with men.
No, it's great, and I'm really happy to have you on the show because this is something that I do try to discuss. But of course, I've had that history of take it like a man, men don't cry, all of that from a very young age. And yeah, I'd like to comment on that. It's not really our parents' fault because that's what they were raised with as well. So it's really great to break that cycle and have gentlemen such as yourself leading the charge on that. And so you've said men are underrepresented in discussions about psychology and therapy. Why do you think so many men stay silent about their struggles?
It's a cultural thing. Like you said, we're raised like this. The pop culture is like this. If you see a superhero movie, the heroes never cry. They never feel fear. They are always focused. And it's bullshit. It's fairy tales. Real people are not like this. We tend to feel confused. We are tired. We are stressed. And then there is this comparison with what should I look like? What will other people tell? The smaller the society you live in, you are more afraid of this comparison. What other people will think of me if I say that I couldn't do it on my own. I need some help. And this is the main reason most people are afraid or they're ashamed and believe that it's their job to suffer and they should get out of it on their own. If it was a health problem like I broke my leg, I would go to a physician. If I have cancer or something, I will go to a hospital. I will never think that, okay, I'll be strong and this shall pass. It's the same thing with mental health. Once you are open to discuss it, it's much easier to to get by and overcome it and get back to your personal best self, be able to be creative, be able to be productive, not be hidden from life and wait for a couple of years until you figure it out as you should or as you think you should.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly the invisible illness of it. What was the turning point for you personally in realizing the cost of that silence?
At some point, I was pretty good in my life at that point. I was having a working corporate. I was making enough money at that point, and I said, "Okay, everything is looking nice on the outside. I have friends, I have family, I have plenty of fun actually, and still I'm feeling that something is missing." Something is off inside, and I want to look into that. So I thought, okay, I've tried everything. I've tried self-development. I've tried meditating. I've tried religion. Let's try therapy this time and see where this will take us. And this was the turning point of for me. I, for the first time in my life, I came in union with my mental health being, with my emotions. I realized that there were a lot of underlying feelings that I couldn't name and I couldn't properly process and take decisions based on that. I've never cried, I never shed a tear until I was 28 or something because I didn't know how to experience sorrow. This is sad, and yet with anger, most of my answer to most of the problems in life, it was passive aggressiveness, not real anger, because every emotion has its part. It's okay to be angry if someone isn't right to you, if there is some kind of injustice. But passive aggressiveness is the way we respond when we are afraid of the other person or when we don't know how to handle the actual feeling. So this was my turning point, uh, coming in, getting to realize that I do have some emotions that I can't still express and learning how to work with them.
Yeah. No, I definitely can relate in that where for a long time, I couldn't be upset. All I could do, I would either go numb or I would just be angry, a lot of rage. I wasn't aggressive or violent or anything, but just inside it was just clenching the fist and processing those things. And it was, but yeah, we just weren't taught how to work through that, how to deal with that. We just didn't have the tools. I guess I took the hard route as well, where I had to pick it up myself, where we didn't have the guidance in that, and that's where we start talking about your tools now, because you often talk about a self-help first aid kit for stressful times. What does that look like in practice?
I started writing a small article and ended up creating a small guide, and people can find it on my website. It's very easy. Uh, I was thinking that, okay, if someone is not feeling right now, what can he do? How does he start? And there are a lot of bad habits that we tend to accumulate over the years, like watching bad news, like being lonely and solitude, like not focusing and choosing to numb ourselves. So I was trying to come up with an answer to this, and I gathered 5 different habits someone can start doing, and you don't have to do everything. Just start with one of them, and incorporate some good habits and some good rituals in your life. And this, can be going on a news detox. Stop learning about things that are not helping you and don't have that much information actually for your day to day, or developing some relationships with friends, some deeper relationships. And even if you are 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever, you can always make new friends, and you can always make new good friends. People tend to think that you can't make any more friends after you are 20 or 25 because all your school friends are over, you are no longer in the university, you don't know where to meet people, but you still can do. And it's very helpful to do that. And people with stronger social ties tend to live longer. And it doesn't matter what they will die from one day, but they still live longer no matter the cause of death. So this is another good habit, or that will be, chicken soup for your soul, and it will improve your day to day actually.
Yeah, well, there's a few things in there that I was listening to. I love the small steps because you don't have to do all of it. I think the all or nothing mentality is very common with high performers, which you entrepreneurs, and we have a lot of entrepreneur space type viewers, and it's definitely an all or nothing type mentality. And as you get older, it does get a bit difficult to make friends. It really does. I think for me, although well, I really manage my own time, but I find it difficult to because but I'm also very introverted as well. So I actually just enjoy time just sitting at home with my dog. So it does help me a lot, but I do like to have a friend circle, but I also try to find those right friends that are relevant to my life because
Hmm.
I don't do a lot of things that I used to do when I was younger. So that's where I've slipped away with a lot of my friends. I've got different interests. I've got different ambitions. I've got different goals. So it's definitely that compounding end of things in there. What emotional skills do you believe men most need to develop, and how can they start building them?
Hmm. Uh, Before going to the emotional skills, let's speak about the lack of any emotional skill. There is a very good word in psychology describing this. It's alexithymia. It's not being able to feel any emotion at all.
Yeah.
I've been studying, Buddhist philosophy, just for the parts to understand what meditation is and what mindfulness is, and this is very close to Stoicism, as you mentioned earlier in our discussion.
Yes.
And there is a very nice poem there that tells, that our body is like a house, and every emotion that comes is another guest, and we should treat every guest with respect, no matter if it is joy or sadness or anger or shame. We should treat each guest with respect. This is the emotional skill number one. Learning to to recognize your emotions, and this is a real skill. This takes practice and this takes time. So learning to recognize how you're feeling each given moment, even if it is very subtle, it doesn't need to be very strong emotion. And then learning to accept it and observe it with curiosity and see where that leads you. Emotions set us to motion, and they tell us a lot about what we should do next. When something bad happens, you feel sad. It makes you seclude, go back to yourself, and maybe think of what happened. This is good. It's good to have some time to grieve if something really bad happens. Or anger set us to react, and it's a very healthy way to respond to injustice. We don't want to be reactive, but we need that information because we might be missing some information from our environment because we are so pumped up with what happened.
Yeah. I like how you touched on the philosophy there because a lot of people see Stoic as being unemotional, but it's actually not like that. It's more of a putting things in the right place, but being
Exactly.
present and accepting things how they are, but not being over. completely overwhelmed by it, but putting it in the right position. Because I think there's,
Exactly,
well,
exactly.
in the world today, there's so much overwhelm. There really is, and so yeah, it's definitely that all or nothing, as I mentioned before, that you're gonna take it, yeah, as it's really that one thing to start off with.
Yeah. We tend to think a lot in black and white, as you said, in all or nothing, and this doesn't help with anything. There's this is the root of perfectionism, and a lot of people are struggling with perfectionism. This is the root of procrastination, and a lot of people have this problem as well. And of course, you'll procrastinate when you have a task to do that it's difficult and too hot to even touch it. I learned a very nice phrase: progress over perfection. This is what we want to do. Go step by step. Maybe we will not be as perfect. We should accept it that when we start something, we will suck.
Yeah,
Things suck. When we are born, we don't know how to speak, how to walk. We don't know how to go to the toilet. We suck as babies,
yeah,
but we tend to get older and learn those skills. And there's a lot of training actually and it takes many years. It takes many years to learn how to speak correctly. So starting a business, why should it be so different? Okay, we everyone loves an overnight success.
yes,
And it might happen, but it's like winning the lottery.
yeah. It's highly unlikely. We know it's compounding things, but everyone will think that it's an overnight success whenever you get there, even if it's, I like the saying, an overnight success is 10 years in the making. But yeah,
Mhm.
but the progress over perfection is something that I had to really push for because I've really gone heavy into my delegation and making sure. And you've got to sometimes people aren't going to do things as good as you are, but it's still progressive for them to do it and not for you to do it. And it's and you sort of yeah, you do forget that you had to work your way through that as well. It's well,
Mhm.
it's those yeah. It comes back to your impressions and the misconceptions of the world of perfection and well, being present with where everything is at. So, how does tracking and rating time connect back to mental health and goals?
Time tracking and mental health and goals. Okay. Now, I have a lot of people coming in and they have a project. They have been trying for a couple of years, no results at all. And we're trying to figure out what they do. It's a coaching session. I do coach people, and I'm trying to figure out what they have tried, what they haven't tried, what are their next options, etc. And still there's no answer. And then I thought, okay, we know that, for example, mastering something takes 10,000 hours, something like that. This
Yes.
is the pop culture in any case. And I'm trying to find a way to make an index so we can measure how much effort the people are really putting in what they do. And the way we do this is by journaling and by measuring. So if you want to develop your business, for example, we track every day how many hours you work on that and also what other things you are doing through your day and what takes up your time. I mean, how much time do you commute? How much time do you scroll? How much time do you spend with your family? And we tend to find that, and this is a big part of procrastination, people spend a lot of time thinking on their projects or thinking on their ideal life or thinking of what big travel they want to do or finding that perfect wife or whatever. And they spend almost no time working on their project. They might build a new business and work 2 or 3 hours per week. Or they might want to find their perfect wife and they go out on a date every couple of months. And this is not a way to have any results. I mean, if you were an athlete, you will spend 3 to 4 hours per day at the gym, right? So why should it be any different when you are trying to build a new skill in your life. And I have created a diagram, and we track what people do, and we track how much joy this brings to them, or how much energy it takes out of them. Because you know, time management is mostly about energy management, and we create a chart in the end, and people can really see and visualize that, okay, I'm spending all my time in things that take energy away from me. If you don't like your work, don't spend that much time there. Or if you don't enjoy that much scrolling on the social media and it takes energy out of you, don't do it that much, and do more of what you want to be doing, and be mindful of how you spend your time. And people, have a tool, and they can visualize it and say, oh my God, I'm not working. So this is why I'm not having any results. I thought I was working. There's this feeling of, people have an aha moment. I
Yeah.
thought I was working. I thought I was doing progress, but I'm not. I'm not spending time there. So
Yeah. No,
yeah, that's
definitely.
it.
Yeah. Well, I say, yeah. Well, because definitely, so if you don't enjoy it, you don't really spend it that much time on it either. But there's a few things. Well, I can remember when I was in school, I would say, "Oh yeah, I'm working on that assignment. I'm working on that assignment," and then I just do it the night before. But in business, that doesn't fly because you're not going to get a passing grade if you unless you're actually doing the work and those compounding effects. And with the finding the perfect part, I always believe whenever my friends say to me, "Oh, I'm looking for the perfect partner." I say, "Well, are you working on yourself? Because you get what you are, not what you want. So if we're not working on ourselves overall, if we, yeah, that's you've. I think we're of a similar belief there as well. You sort of get what you're working on in that sense.
Exactly, exactly. We get what we deserve. We might be not lucky to be born, rich or famous or
Yeah.
super good looking,
Yeah.
but
No, no,
still
not
we
everyone's as
get
lucky as you and I. So it's yeah.
exactly. But still, we do have to work for what we want to achieve next.
Yeah, that's it. And you run a men's groups. Why are they so important? And what happens inside them, which creates the transformation?
You know, we used to live in tribes. Back before the start of history, we were hunter-gatherers, and people would live in small villages, maybe less than 30 people, and men would go out for hunting. And this is, they will go out, they will be away from home or their village for many days, and they'll go to catch a prey and bring it back. And this was a bonding experience we no longer have in our societies. We are some kind of, we're pseudo hunters. We're going every day to our job, but this is not a job we like, or this is not something we enjoy, and this is not where we bond with people. We don't have enough time today to bond with people because we should be so productive, and should be so focused on work. So this is a big part of what happens in men's group. It's an open space. You can come as you are, speak your mind. People, and this is part of the instructions we are giving when we facilitate it. People don't judge you. People don't give you any advice for your life. They don't treat you as a child. They treat you as an adult, and you have a chance to speak your mind, describe your own problems in your own words, and in this process, you practice being emotionally vulnerable, which is super important, as we told earlier. You practice thinking on your own problems, and you get perspective from other people that you wouldn't have if you couldn't be open. People come in and ask you questions, so you get some perspective, and you as a participant as well practice listening to other people, understanding them, and getting perspective for your own problem as well. You get out of your head. This is the magic. This is what happens, and
As
this
to
is where
say,
the transformation starts.
yeah. As I say, you're the average of the five people we spend most time with. So it's good to be around people that are driven for personal development and
That's a big
creating a better
part
life.
of it. People are coming in a lot for the community because they, you might have a lot of friends or a lot of colleagues, and they are not necessarily have the same goals as you. They don't want to develop, they don't care about what they will do with their lives. So people do come for the community, do come for the accountability they are getting there, and they do come to be motivated for their own goals.
And I know we've touched on this a bit around building those friendships a bit later in life, and I think it's important to sort of circle back on this question, which is for a man listening who has no close friends or feels isolated, what's the first step to rebuilding connection?
Hmm. You know, when we first made some friends, it was in school, right? You were there 5 times per week, 5 to 6 hours per day. You had to sit with a person and play with the same team every day. And over the course of 1 year or 2 years or many, many years, you created some very good and strong relationships. So it was not speed dating, you know. It was having the time with someone, having difficult discussions with him, fighting. When you were a child, you were fighting.
Yeah.
I'm sure of this, and experiencing bad emotions, good emotions, and this was the how we tend to bond as children, and it's the same for when we are adults. So in Greece, we have to serve some time in the army. This is the second part in life of a man in Greece where you make good friends. Because again, you spend a lot of time with those people in difficult situations, and this is how we bond. And this is the experience we want to replicate even later in life. Find a hobby, find something that involves other people, and that is recurring, that you meet them again and again and again. And maybe the first time you meet them, you're not crazy about them. And you were not crazy about your school friends in the first place. You wanted to stay home, most probably.
Yeah.
But over time, meeting them again and again and sharing, you tend to find other people that think like you, and you bond with them, and you learn to care about them. And you learn also that they do care about you. So this is what we want to do. We want to find a space with other people, with men or women or whatever you're looking for, and have multiple occasions of meeting them again and again. And, you know, magic will happen on its own. We are social beings. We tend to make friends. Be open, be curious, and it will come.
I I was just thinking while you were talking around that was I think something important to note, and you might be on the same way. As we've gotten older, we've sort of had bad experiences with people. I think expecting seeing something in someone else, you shouldn't paint them with the same brush as somebody that is in your past. And I think that's what happens with a lot of well, I find with a lot of my friends, not me so much because I'm quite aware of this. But they sort of move into another friendship or another relationship, and they're sort of painting that new friend or that new partner with an action of someone else. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. This is one part. Another part, I think, is that we thought that friendships will last forever. And this is not always true because someone might move out of the country, or someone might change hobbies or change his life, or he might not have that much time anymore. Or we are changing as well, so our needs are changing. And this is the art, of letting go, telling to someone that, okay, we had a lot of fun together, we shared a lot of great moments. Maybe now our lives are going in separate paths, and it's okay, and accept it, and give ourselves the space to meet new people. So we don't need to punish ourselves because we had a bad experience with someone or because a relationship ended. We should be grateful, thankful to that, take the good parts of that, and be ready to move on. Because we will be here only for 80 or 90 or some years,
yeah.
so we don't have that much time. We should enjoy every day as much as we can.
Well, it's like that saying that for a good or bad time, this too shall pass.
Exactly, yeah.
So, how does accountability shift when you're in a group versus going it alone?
Okay, let's go back to business,
Yes, back
and
to
take some
business.
examples for there. Uh, in your day job, if you are working in a company or if you're working with a group of people, things are expected out of you. And when you don't do them, people will come and keep you accountable for that and ask you how it is going. And this is why we're making progress at work because we're in a group, we're working, people expect things from us, and we deliver. For our personal goals, it's a bit different because it's easy to forget about them. It's easy to fall behind, and our brain does that, and we know that, and we tend to find also ways to trick our brain. For example, I'll decide that I won't get a gym membership for 1 month, but maybe 6 months. So I'll be accountable to myself because I paid for 6 months. So it's the same thing in groups. When you have a goal and share that on that, people will ask you next time, how you are you doing? And they are not judging you. They are not keeping you, they are not expecting anything out of you, but it's out of pure interest. How is your big life goal going at this point? And this is your chance to have a checkpoint because we don't have regular checkpoints with ourselves, but it's very helpful to have checkpoints with others. It's a good chance to think back if our goal is going well and replan, or maybe change course or pivot. We don't have to make for the personal goals at least. We don't have to keep them forever. We can pivot, we can change our minds. We are doing things to be happier or to achieve something, and we can change our mind, and it's totally okay. But having regular check-ins to see how it is going, or to pivot, or to replan, this is important, and this is something we're not very good at doing on our own. So the group really really helps in that.
Yeah. Well, we're more likely to be honest with others than we are with ourselves a lot of the time. Yeah, yeah. We could tell that's where procrastination comes in on that. But I was going to move to more of the masculinity end of things because we've got a bit of time left in. So you talk about healthy masculinity. What does that mean to you?
What does there are many parts of being a man that are very good. You are goal oriented, you tend for your people, you have stamina, you have resilience. These are the good parts of masculinity. And most probably the parts we don't like is, the aggressiveness or treating other people toxically. And these are the things we don't want. But being a man, it's a very strong notion, knowing what you want, knowing your goals and be solid on that. This is a very healthy part of being a man. And nowadays, things can be sketchy because there are a lot of different opportunities. There is a lot of FOMO around, and we're trying to do everything. So, learning how to find your purpose in life, this is a healthy part of masculinity. And this is when no one will be able to move you away from who you are, from what you do, and who you're gonna become. So, this is the part of health masculinity that I care most about.
Oh, it's yeah. Well, tough times are always gonna come, and I always like that saying that every man should still be a monster, but they should know how to control it. And in order to, when it's time to be a man, there's yeah, there's definitely an oversteer that we want to avoid in being a man because I get more in touch with my emotions these days, but I don't want to steer so much that I lose that drive. And that because I still there's t times that still well as the leader of my company and as a man there's still times that people are looking to me for that strength and yeah, it's I think it's definitely it's finding that balance between being yeah. The next question was around finding balance and strength and vulnerability without falling into stereotypes.
Yeah, you know, we want to make use of the whole of our brains, and our brain has the logical parts and the emotional parts. We don't want to fall into a category, or to have anything working more than the other. Like we said before, everything has plays its parts, and emotions are, a fast path to taking a lot of decisions. We don't want to take emotional decisions like, okay, I don't want to do that, I won't do, but we want to take into account the message that our emotions are giving us to take smarter and faster decisions. There has been a lot of research, for example, in people who are experts in their fields about thinking faster and thinking slower. And experts in their fields, they can take super fast decisions, which are emotional based decisions, because they have trained their minds to understand their field of interest so much that they don't need to go into the logical brain no more. They can tap into their emotional brain and know the truth like magic. This is the balance that we are trying to build, especially in our areas of interest. We want to be able to make use every time of both our logical brains and our emotional brains, and we want to be able to hear all the messages coming in our mind. If there is some fear, we want to hear on that. If there is some some information there, we want also to be able to hear the information and not giving to emotion. And this is, part of being a whole human being.
Yeah.
No, 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 not just an emotional human being or intelligent human being, but a whole human.
Well, we all there's so many layers in being human. And I just like well in my world, and I like to relate to this because I have to choose who I am, and it does come. Although I'm not perfect, sometimes I like to come across as straightforward and tough. And then it's working out when your emotional intelligence kicks in, when you have to become across more empathetic and more emotion and aligned. But often, when you've got to do the things that you got to do in life, sometimes you do have to come across as that side. So it's definitely it's never a one-time fix. It takes many. That's why people hire coaches because it's not a one-time you'll go from here to here. As you said, no overnight success in any of this. So it's but yeah. Go ahead, sorry,
You
Stefan.
want to have a you have want to have a palette of different skills that you can use on demand. And you're an entrepreneur, and you're wearing multiple hats during the day. Now you're interviewing, later you will have to contact your virtual assistants, later you have to make a decision for your business, and you're wearing different hats each time, and each hat comes with different skills and different needs. So this is what I'm telling to people who are working as solo entrepreneurs or they're having their own businesses. Based on the different hat, you will have a different role, and figure out what this role needs from you at that point and deliver, because people are looking into you to deliver that.
Well, later I got to be a good dog dad and tell my stubborn dog what to do and also cook him dinner. So that's also a key role, and I've got to change how I am with him because he doesn't being a dog he doesn't understand. He's another layer of complication outside of being human. But it's
Mm.
we could continue on with a lot of these topics, and I know that we've only just scraped the surface, and there's so much more depth. But I want to make sure that we keep things pretty concise. So I'll move to the closing question. I think we can get Stefanos back on for another show down the track for some more in-depth ones because we've got some panel interviews that we want to bring back in some experts, and I know that he's going to be very relatable to some of our previous guests. And So we move to the closed question. So, Stefanos, if attention is the currency, what should people stop wasting it on and start investing it in?
Stop wasting your energy into things that take energy away from you and start wasting your energy in things that give you back and that are making you happy. One of my favorite phrases is from my teacher Tal Ben Sahar, who is one of the engineers of positive psychology, and he's telling that happiness is the ultimate currency, and this is where we want to look towards to.
Find happiness and joy in everything you do.
Exactly,
That's
yeah.
perfect. That's a
Be-
that's a perfect way to sign off on this one. So, Stefanos Koutsoumpis is proof that men don't have to do it alone, and that connection, vulnerability, and practical tools can change the story of masculinity for good. You can learn more about his work at mindfullife.coach. And if this conversation made you think of someone who's struggling in silence, share it with them. Sometimes one conversation can save a life, and it can absolutely change it. And there's many men out there, and I'd love for you to go check out what Stefanos is doing and in his work. We'll make sure that link is in the description. It's been great having you on the show. Well, this evening and this morning and wherever anyone else tunes in, and uh, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I surely enjoyed this discussion and it will be very nice to chat again.
Definitely, very soon.